Good evening and welcome to another edition of Tigers Roar. I'm Tommy Krysan. Appreciate you being tuned in. I'm joined by NFL scout and Fox Sports football analyst Chris Landry. Chris, how you doing tonight?
Tommy, couldn't be better. It's Alabama week. It's November, and we're talking about it before going on the air. It's time for the game to get here. Everybody's at a fever pitch. Still got a couple of more days. By the way, I know a great show lined up. Tommy's going to get to a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, but it is pretty much about time we kick this puppy off.
Well, as you said, the calendar has flipped to November. And, of course, as everybody knows, on November 5th, it's LSU and Alabama in Tuscaloosa, kicking it off at 11 minutes after 7 o'clock on CBS if they have the pregame script on time. Chris, I spoke at the New Orleans Quarterback Club this Monday down in New Orleans. I appreciate Ken Trahan and all those guys for having me. And one of the first questions I got was they wanted to know, when in Baton Rouge did people start talking about the LSU-Alabama game? I said, right after the LSU-Oregon game. You know, you'd hear a little blurb when LSU fans saw the success that they had against Oregon and the success that Jarrett Lee had with the suspension of Jefferson and Shepard, et cetera. I said, so it started a little bit then, and then each week, a little bit more Alabama talk, a little bit more November the 5th talk, and then 2, 3, 4 weeks ago on some of our post-game shows, on you and I's radio show, people just couldn't avoid it. They couldn't avoid it. The coaches and the players did their best to avoid it publicly and in comments to the media and in comments to Tigers Roar TV and all of the outlets. But you know what? Can't avoid it anymore. It's here. It's very, very exciting. I mentioned this today on the radio in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. As college football fans, in particular the fans of Alabama and LSU, and you kind of made this point on radio the other day, you need to savor this moment. I mean, this is a special time. It's the epitome. It's the zenith of college football, number 1 versus number 2. It's never happened in the glorious record of the Southeastern Conference in the regular season. This has never occurred, and it's LSU, Alabama. And, you can go back, 10, 12 years ago, Alabama program was in dire straits. A little bit longer than that ago, LSU was in dire straits. Well, they both had tremendous success in the past decade, with LSU getting 2 national championships, Alabama getting 1. The coaches are arguably 2 of the best coaches in the country. So fans really need to savor the moment here. This is special. I mean, people in Wyoming, people in New York that like college football, they're going to have their TV on Saturday night checking this football game out because of the massive hype that has surrounded this game. So, again, enjoy this, fans. You're not always going to see it. 3, 4 years from now, the LSU-Alabama game might be an 11:30 kickoff. Who knows? I doubt it, but you never know. It's just a remarkable event, and people in South Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, and the Mississippi Gulf Coast who watch Tigers roar, enjoy these couple of days and enjoy Saturday night.
Well, a lot of our younger fans may not realize it, but older fans will recognize this. I grew up going to LSU games, and quite frankly, you played Alabama a couple of times when they were ranked number 1. We had a game in 1979 against USC where they were ranked number 1. The LSU were playing a number 1 ranked team. But you didn't have, quite frankly, the LSU program was not at this level. Certainly in the 50s, top 3 matchups between LSU and Ole Miss. And as a coach, a young coach here on the staff in the 80s, quite frankly, I thought we did a pretty good job with what we had, couple of SEC titles. We couldn't produce. We didn't have the infrastructure put in place to be a top 5 program where you had this type of matchup where the whole country stands up, take notice, as Tommy says, and I think we got a lot of people to think about it, but one of the main guys is Nick Saban. Nick Saban brought this attitude here. I remember talking with him, recommending him for the job when they hired Jerry DiNardo. Nick and I worked together in Cleveland. Nick Saban, Mark Emmert, is the reason why this LSU program was turned around. Nick had that pain in the rear end, we'll call it, approach that he knew what needed to be done to get LSU because it was an underachieving program. It was a program that I got tired of defending in the coaching community because it was an underachieving program. Mark Emmert knew what needed to be done. He had the political salesmanship to get this program and put forth the things from an infrastructure, football operations facility, academic center, where the players live, the residence halls, all put up to speed. Because in the 80s, Tommy, when we had 10 programs in the SEC, we were the ranked 10th in facilities, and it wasn't even close. Okay, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, they all had better facilities. But because of him, Nick got this program at a level, and then Les Miles has done a phenomenal job of maintaining a program that's at a very high level that they can recruit at any level. And then, of course, you mentioned Alabama went through a dry spell since 1992 when Gene Stallings led them to a title. They didn't win a title until a couple of years ago. Nick Saban brought them back. Now, that infrastructure there was pretty much set, but I think we got both of these coaches a lot to thank them for their efforts in making this game of two programs that are at elite level, at an elite level. And so I'm very thankful because this is the epicenter of sports right now.
And you will hear on tonight's program from both coaches. You'll hear from Coach Les Miles. You'll hear from Coach Nick Saban. You'll hear a lot from some LSU players. You're going to see graphics that we have of statistics of key players on both teams. You're going to see Alabama highlights, LSU highlights. We're going to preview this Alabama team and get Chris's expertise analysis on all of that stuff. We're going to get into LSU and what they're going to need to do, again, with Chris's analysis. We're going to take our weekly run through the LSU athletic department near the end of the program. We remind you, this is 2 hours of Tigers Roar, and it's each and every Wednesday night on Pelican Sports TV, streaming online at pelicansportstv.com. If you're watching on TV now, you got friends and family, college football fans outside of South Louisiana, call them up, tell them pelicansportstv.com. They can check this out right now. We'll also hear from Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com and Jumbo Ronnie Rance during the run through the LSU athletic department. Will update LSU baseball for you. We'll also tonight have a couple of little factoids. We'll have the Bryson Law Firm stat of the week. I got a few little things for you. Got some other stuff for you. And right now I want to remind you that tomorrow on Thursday, the Chris Landry Show, which is on the Score 1210 a.m., streams online at thescore1210.com. It's football all year round on that show, college or pro. Tomorrow's show going to be dedicated to this matchup of LSU and Alabama. Give everybody a hint of what they're going to get from 2 to 3 tomorrow on the Score 12:10 a.m. Again, 2 to 3 p.m.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit, kind of touch on what I just talked about, how the LSU program started to turn around when Nick Saban got here, and kind of how that all played out, and the great job that Les Miles has done, where these two teams are. Going to break down this matchup from A to Z, talk about LSU's offense against Alabama's defense and vice versa. We're going to do a lot of that tonight. We're going to break it down to the nth detail. We're going to make sure that you at least know what to look for, what to focus in on as the game takes place. So I thought this game, because of the fact, what we just talked about, the magnitude of it, we're going to focus on that and pretty much put everything else aside. And there's a lot of other good games going on, but this is obviously the benchmark game in college and pro football on the sports calendar this weekend.
And also don't forget Pelican Sports Radio Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. on that same station, the Score 12:10 a.m., streaming at thescore1210.com. We take your phone calls, mix it up. Obviously a lot of LSU on that this week. That's Pelican Sports Radio. And don't forget, immediately following the football game on Saturday at about 10:45 Saturday night, it'll be Richard Condon and me, Tommy Chrysan, on the WJBO Pelican Sports TV Phones First postgame show. You can get it on the radio, 11:50 a.m. at WJBO.com, or get it on your TV. So if you're not in Tuscaloosa, get it on the TV, Pelican Sports TV, immediately following the game with LSU and Bama. And, of course, you can keep up with all the radio and TV activities of Pelican Sports TV and Pelican Sports Radio by going to our Facebook page, Pelican Broadcasting. That's the Facebook page. Great way to keep up with everything. YouTube, we've got clips from Tigers Roar and features that we've done. And the Twitter account is at Pelican Sports. Keep up with us in the world of the social media, Pelican on top of all of that. When we come back, we're going to hear from Coach Miles and some players about the off week and all the hype of this magnificent matchup. LSU and Alabama, we've got a bunch for you tonight. Chris Landry, Tommy Chrysan, stay with us on Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans.
This is Mo Isom of the LSU women's soccer team, and you're watching Pelican Sports TV.
Hi, I'm attorney Kerry Bryson. My law firm focuses specifically on helping people try to solve their IRS tax problems. Lately, so many new out-of-state companies are popping up claiming that if you send them money, they can resolve your IRS problems. Well, what happens if they don't? Do you hire an attorney? Maybe you should start with a local attorney that's already handled hundreds of IRS cases right here in Louisiana. When you hire the Bryson Law Firm, You won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some out-of-town high-pressure salesman. You'll meet with us in person at our office right here in Baton Rouge. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and we'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it'll cost. So if you're hiring a company to resolve your IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, check their reputation first, then call me, Kerry Bryson, or go to brysonlawfirm.com. If you're a Louisiana resident and you have an IRS problem, hire a Louisiana attorney, Kerry Bryson.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair.
Come see the many great lines we carry in bridal, bridesmaids, mothers, flower girls, tuxes, and more. We also carry over 25 top designer lines in debutante gowns, Mardi Gras, pageant, and prom. Come meet me and my staff with over 30 years of bridal and pageant experience. Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair, Burnside and Gonzales, where service matters.
The family dental practice of Dr. Farrell Fruget Jr. and our highly trained staff are dedicated to providing care and treatment to our patients of all ages in all aspects of dental care. 23 years of experience and advanced training in cosmetic and restorative dentistry, TMJ, and treatment of snoring and sleep apnea allows Dr. Fruget to assist you in achieving the best in dental health. Call us today at 292-9700 to schedule your initial evaluation, because we know how to make you smile.
We continue with Tigers Roar TV right here on Pelican Sports TV, live each and every Wednesday night, a year-round program from 8 to 10 p.m. If you're catching this on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, or one of the many replay outlets that we have, including WHNO TV Channel 20 in New Orleans, Friday nights, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., we appreciate it, but it's a live show Wednesday. But all of this stuff will be good right up until kickoff on Saturday night. Off week for both teams. They're both 8-0, 5-0. Everybody knows that. Here are some comments from Coach Les Miles and the players talking about the off week, having 2 weeks to prepare for Alabama, and of course all the hype that has grown on an hourly basis since LSU defeated Auburn. Here now are those comments.
Good afternoon. The open week kind of hit us just right. I felt like the team needed a little bit of break and got fresh. Did a little bit of work on rehabilitation and weight strength development, and certainly some very, very fundamental practices. I think the coaches needed a nice weekend. I can tell you that I watched football all weekend, minus a soccer game, and here's how it went. It was Friday night. I went to high school football. I watched 3 prospects, Craig Thorpe, Cooper, and Miles. And it was the U-High Cubs, an undefeated game. I hope this is not an NC2A violation, Joe. But I kind of like there's a tendency. It's Craig Thorpe to Miles, and I think that's a dang good tendency. So I went then Saturday morning, watched Ben, my 13-year-old, a dominant youth football player by all accounts. And they currently U-High Cubs in the Ben Miles team are undefeated. And I then, Saturday morning before I saw Ben play, I watched Macy, who is also taking place in soccer and is a part of an undefeated soccer team. So I kind of like the position of the family as I do my team. Again, the feel that this team has, I think they have the right mental approach. I think they have the right physical approach to big games.
It's exciting. We got some great O-linemen. We got a lot of depth. This bye week really helped everybody get off their feet, recover, and just get feeling 100%. And right now we're just all getting ready to do the best we can and help our team be successful.
Especially work on like techniques and fundamentals, some things that we probably lost as the season went on and stuff. But it was just a great focus and like really emphasis on pursuing the ball and make sure you know your assignment and staying in your gap. Since Bama does like a lot of different things on offense, so it just really was a focus week and helping us getting ready for this game.
Yeah, you could tell everybody focused, everybody, running around, they hyped, they happy, they're excited, they're ready to, hit somebody, because last week we didn't have no game. And everybody around here know how important this game is. And for us to, get where we got to go, we got to beat them. So everybody, just ready to go.
Yeah, game plans, it's not all in, but it's getting there. So we've had, all last week and then a little bit of this week, so still got a little bit to go, but it's getting there.
Yeah, I've never been there in person, but I've seen a lot of pictures of it, and it's going to be pretty big. I don't know what to expect out there. It's going to be crazy. I'm just so fortunate to be a part of a big game like that. We're excited. A lot of guys here have played there before, some not. The younger guys, like I'd mentioned, haven't played out there before, so it'll be a good first time for a lot of us, and some of the older guys have gone back there. Hopefully we can just bring this one back.
Try to keep it at a norm so, anxiety won't, build up inside of you. You don't want to mess up because you're thinking too much. But, I mean, when you got to think it's 1 versus 2 in Tuscaloosa, and, when you look at the TV, there's commercials about it all over the place. So, I mean, we're trying to keep it at a norm, just trying to keep it, as it's just one game, one game at a time.
There's some big games, but this is a big one, and all the hype around, I mean, this is a big one.
They've kind of added some seats, and, it's kind of grown a little bit, so we're excited, but, it's an atmosphere that, you dream of playing in.
The atmosphere is just great. Everyone's been looking forward to this game. It's been in the back of everyone's mind for a while, and now that it's actually here, the atmosphere around the place is just, everyone comes to work really hard, as they do other weeks, but it's just a bit different this week because we know it's such a big game.
I think I'd be lying to say that, Tom, that we're, it's just another week, just a normal week. No, I mean, guys there's a little extra motivation, but there's always extra motivation for BAM week every year, just because it's, they're always good. And it's one of those things where anytime you feel like you may want to complain or you're too tired, you don't want to be doing this, I mean, it's nice to have something like this game to kind of just tell yourself, hey man, look, just keep working, stay focused, keep going, keep grinding. And like I said, this team's one of the best practice teams I've ever been involved in, and they do a great job.
Chris Landry, how does the coaching staff, maybe not as much last week with the open date on the schedule, but this week, how do they keep the attention of the players on the task at hand, the implementation of the game plan, telling everybody what you're going to have to do, the assignments that are going to have to take place? How do the coaches try to keep that hype? I mean, the kids have computers, they have TVs, they got radios. I mean, how does the coaching staff handle that in this situation?
Well, I think because of the bye week, I think all the administrative details, in the case of LSU, it's a road game. So any travel plan issues or any things that need to be done, get done last week when you got time. If you're the home team like at Alabama, then you try to take care of all the ticket situations last week before you get into this week. But really the key is just that. Even though there's a little more pep in the step in everybody's, atmosphere and how they go about it, it's still about putting the game plan together like you do at all times and focusing on that. Because if you stop every 5 minutes when you're trying to go through your game plan and practice and think about, wow, this is a big game. Wow, this is going to be on, you're not going to be doing the same thing you're doing every week. You're not going to be as prepared. So to keep it as normal as possible. Now, I think you have to compartmentalize a little bit, and this is where you got 20-hour work week, you get your work done. You have to carve in a little more out of their personal time, talking about the players here, to take part in some stuff that are a little abnormal, like extra interviews, an ESPN spending a whole day on LSU's campus, then on Alabama's campus. That's requiring maybe a little more extra interview time than normal. So that's not that big of a deal, but you don't take that out of your football prep. You take it out of some of the, hey, can we work it into your free time? And players are more than willing to do it. I think it's all builds up to the excitement of what a game like this presents.
Well, and I read today, Alabama usually issues about 250 press credentials for a game. Climbs to about 350 for Alabama, Auburn, maybe Alabama, Tennessee. Over 600.
Over 600
for this
right
game
now
with LSU and Alabama. It's #1 versus #2. It happened 5 years ago, Michigan, Ohio State. It's happened, it seems like every decade or so, or twice a decade, it'll happen. It's the first time it's happened with 2 Southeastern Conference teams.
In the regular season, you're right.
In the regular season, right. And so, I mean, it's an unbelievable thing. You know, you talk about, do we need a playoff in college football and all that. Again, savor this week, fans. You're getting something special. You're getting something that a lot of other college fans and teams wish they could be involved in.
Well, and here, this is something for after this game, but the reality is the winner of this game still has some work left to do. But there's no question that this is the biggest hurdle for both of these teams, and should they clear that hurdle, if they're prepared and don't ignore the other hurdles the rest of the way, they should be able to clear those hurdles. So it is a de facto national championship game. But the reality is you got an Auburn or an Arkansas and potentially a Georgia or a South Carolina in the SEC championship game, all waiting ahead. Again, maybe the hurdles are not as tall, but yet if you don't pay attention, that could trip you. But so not just a 1 versus 2, but what it means in the BCS era, it has a lot to do with who will likely end up in the national championship.
Here's some comments from Coach Miles and the players talking about number 1 versus number 2.
I think that when you have advantages of personnel, I think that that's the things that you try to do. You know, I think there's not necessarily a necessity to outman your opponent, outnumber them. Just, you can play it. And it allows you a comfort of play call and fundamental that allows you to execute extremely well. And I think that that's probably the similarities between the 2 teams.
I mean, I feel like we match up perfectly, you know. Got the, 1 and 2 defenses, playing right now, great offenses playing, good backs. I mean, I don't know, it just seems like, we're looking in the mirror right now, so, I mean, I feel like this is going to be a great game. It's a very big game, to see, who's the best in the West, and I feel like, it's going to be a good game, this game.
It's a big game. I mean, this game is going to tell a lot, and I believe we're ready for it. I mean, we come to play in big-time games like this, so.
I mean, it's a huge game. We've worked hard to get to this point, and, so have they. So it's going to be a huge game, and we're excited for it.
In years past, we've had close games by this time, and a little bit of, maybe uneasiness as far as scoring points and stuff like that. But it's gonna come down to who makes the fewest mistakes, and we haven't made too many this year, neither have they. So we'll see.
I would say that is appropriate, even though we both know, I think Alabama and LSU both know, I mean, this obviously is a regular season game, and you still got the rest of the season to play after it. But it's definitely, I mean, obviously it's 1 versus 2. It's 2 teams that up to this point have really played well on the field, and everybody's been wanting to see it. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
How wonderful it is for the region to be able to look and enjoy a time of celebration of hard work and team values, because the school wins and the team wins and the state wins, and it's a beautiful time. I'm very fortunate to have such a great institution to represent, and look forward to what is a great afternoon, great evening in college football.
The little thing on radio today. I wanted to do some research and come up with something that hasn't been said 95 times a day for the last 2 weeks. So I dug a little research and I came up with a little factoid of interest about this LSU-Alabama series. And somebody out here may know this, but I'm gonna bet that 90+%, 95% of people don't know this. Question is, when is the last time in the LSU-Alabama series that the home team won 3 straight games? Last year in Baton Rouge, LSU won. The year before in Tuscaloosa, Alabama won. So that's 2 straight for the home team. The last time the home team won 3 straight games in this series, and everybody starts scratching their head, and I'm not going to delay it and make you wait till the next break to find out the answer. How about 1946, 47, and 48? That's the last time it happened that the home team won 3 in a row. So history in the last 60-plus years would tell you that Alabama's not going to win Saturday night. But, you know, I just had to come up with a factoid that nobody else had, and this is part of our Bryson Law Firm Tiger Stats of the Week. You see that LSU and Alabama have won all their games this year by double digits. And the thing I just pointed out, 46, 47, and 48 is the last time the home team has won 3 games in a row. Bryson Law Firm, if you have any type of IRS tax situation or you need tax resolution of any type, the initial consultation is free, no risk. Call Kerry Bryson at the Bryson Law Firm. You see the Baton Rouge numbers, the Lafayette numbers, and the New Orleans office. Anybody in our listening audience, give him a call or go to BrysonLawFirm.com. Kerry Bryson, a big supporter of Tigers Roar, big supporter of Pelican Sports Radio, and those 2 stats. Got to go back to the 40s, Chris. That's amazing.
Well, a big part of it is you look at it, Alabama almost looked at Tiger Stadium as their home turf from, you know, late 60s in the middle of the 80s. So LSU really was not able to get anything done at home there. I was a part of a tie game with Mike Shula and as a player. It goes
14-14, right?
14-14 ties. So, and then, you know, we had some success on the road against Alabama. Say it is a game where the road team has had some success, but I think if you look back in the history, it depends on how far you want to go. There was a period there where Alabama just came in and we just, I think it was like 69 to late 80s, almost 20-year period, 18-year period at home. Alabama won every time in Tiger Stadium. So that's the reason why LSU wasn't able to take care of their home part of it for most of that.
When we come back, we'll start talking Alabama. We'll get Chris Landry's analysis for sure and give you a lot of good stuff. You'll hear from Coach Miles. You'll hear from Coach Saban. You'll hear from LSU players again. We're going to get into Alabama when we return right here on Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans. Spread the roar about Tigers Roar.
Hi, I'm Joe Horn, and you're watching Pelican Sports TV.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com has been extremely beneficial for the TM Automotive Group. And what stands out to us, it's easy to use, not only for us, but it's easy for the applicants. And it's the quality of applicants that we get. It's timely. We post something in the morning. By that afternoon, we have double-digit applicants. And again, it's the quality of the applicants.
Employers, now is a great time to hire, recruit, and look for potential new employees.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com. It's free for job seekers and great for business.
You're on the same flight.
We'll be on the same plane,
Yeah,
regardless.
when we should work. Anything together? Do we know that?
Got it.
Thanks, Dave.
The big, brilliant, thin Samsung Infuse 4G. Only from the network of possibilities, AT&T.
Pelican Sports TV presents Pelican Radio. Get ready to mix it up with me, Tommy Krysan, and Chris Landry, weekday afternoons from 3 to 4 p.m. Pro sports, college sports, high school sports, and much more. On the Score 1210 a.m. and on the internet at thescore1210.com.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
LSU's opponent, of course, Alabama. You know they're both 8-0, 5-0 in conference play. They both had the open date leading up to this contest in Tuscaloosa. Again, kickoff is just after 7 o'clock, 7:11 according to the CBS script. It'll happen then or a minute or two after that. And don't forget, immediately following the LSU-Alabama game, Richard Condon and me, Tommy Krysan, with the WJBO Pelican Sports TV Phones First postgame show, taking your phone calls within 3, 4, 5 minutes of that game being over, approximately 10:45 Saturday night, unless you get a bunch of overtime, something like that. We'll be on the air taking your calls, radio, TV. We'll have scoreboard updates. We'll have stats, your phone calls. That's the most important thing. Phones first. WJBO Pelican Sports TV postgame show immediately following the LSU-Alabama game. Let's get in to some Alabama Crimson Tide football. Here first are some comments from Coach Miles as well as Coach Nick Saban and some players talking about, in general, this Alabama team, and then we'll hear from Chris Landry.
It's good having a bye week. Got some guys rested up and healthy, and you know, I'm sure that everybody understands the magnitude of a game like this, and it's something the players really look forward to. And you know, it's a great opportunity for them to be able to compete in a game like this against a really good team like LSU, and so everybody's excited about it, and we're just trying to focus on the preparation for what we need to do in practice so that we can focus and play well in the game.
I think they're looking forward to working hard. I think they're looking forward to preparing. We take some advantages into the game, certainly. We recognize we're playing a very, very quality opponent. Our defense certainly will be challenged against a very potent running and passing attack. Trent Richardson and A.J. McCarron are just very, very efficient players, very dominant players. They're obviously their defense is statistically as good as there is, and
they're balanced, they're well balanced. I mean, everyone knows they're going to try to get the ball to Trent, but the receivers they have and Mays and all those guys, they're good deep threats, and I know they're going to try to get the ball to them deep also.
They're a very accomplished team. You know, we're not going to sit there and lie about, you know, them being compared to Northwestern State, but you know, they're a great team. You know, we can't wait to come out and just show what we have.
I think it's more of an O-line, D-line type deal on both sides of the ball, and that's fundamental football, though, is when it comes down to the battle in the trenches, and we wouldn't have it any other way. We got some great competitors on this O-line, and these guys that's what you want as a competitor, is to go against the best, and I think that's what we're going to get a chance to do this weekend.
They're a lot better than they were last year, honestly. You know, they're a great football team, but their defense is really solid. So that staff's done a great job with them. Like we were saying earlier, they disguise really well. They're not often out of position, so it's going to be a challenge for us.
We've handled some pretty good challenges so far this year, and every time that we have been brought a challenge, I think we do pretty well. So this is definitely a huge challenge, you know, to go to Alabama and play such a great side in their stadium, in front of their fans. You know, and I think this whole week of practice, everyone's just going to have to give 100% effort, stay focused, and like I said, just not let the emotions take over, and we should be all right.
It definitely has some power running backs. It was similar to me being in high school, having Eddie and Kelvin York. So I guess I can say I'm used to the power running back game, but we just got to make sure we keep them bottled up and don't let them get away from us.
Pretty big receivers and Bell and all them, but I mean, I think it balanced itself out. I mean, they lost Julio, but they still got players over there who can make plays.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure they're going to try to disguise some things and throw some different looks at us, try to confuse us a little bit, but we've got to all be on the same page. And like you said, communication is going to be a big thing for us this week, and we'll prepare for the noise and the different looks and be ready for Saturday.
They definitely have some speedy receivers, and one of them is a good returner too. So we just got to make sure we stay focused and don't get beat deep, like you said. And when it's a punt and special teams, we got to make sure we get them tackled fast.
Against Alabama, I guess, you know, since I've been here, so kind of feel like I kind of understand what they're about. Great team, great football team. So it's going to be fun going against them. So you know, Coach Saban, he's a great coach, so we're excited about it.
I have to be very honest with you. I have great respect for the very strong, capable coach at Alabama, Nick Saban. And you know, you watch how he prepares his team, and you watch how they play, and if you don't admire how that happens, then you really don't care much about football. And no, it's yeah, what a wonderful opportunity it is to compete against the best.
As we talk about this Alabama football team in general, we'll see the Nick Saban bio, or at least the recent bio. He's in his fourth year at Alabama. Was previously a 2-year stint with the Dolphins. Before that, 5 years at LSU and Michigan State before that. And he's got a much longer resume than that. Chris Landry, talk about, in general, this Alabama team led by Nick Saban.
Well, I tell you, they're very, very impressive on film. I mean, it certainly starts with their defense. They play a 30 front most of the time, but they'll flip it to a 40 front. They play a lot of two-gap up front. They're big, they're strong, they're physical. It's a linebacker-laden defense. They're great. We're watching some of their offense here. A.J. McCarron has been a mixed bag. They work the tight ends, as we see right here, and the backs out of the backfield extremely well. He's missed some open receivers at times this year, but he can be very effective. He's thrown touchdown passes to 9 different receivers on this team. So, wow. And Marquise Mays is as quick and as effective a route runner as there is in this game on both teams. They don't have a Julio Jones. They have to get it done with Bell and Mays are really effective players for them. I think Gibson. They got some guys that they can go to, but this is a run-oriented game. But dumping it off right here, the screen game to the backs is what they like to do on the offensive side of the ball. Barrett Jones is good an offensive lineman as there is in the country right now as a run blocker at left tackle. It all starts up front from them offensive line. They really control the line of scrimmage very well. But McCarron's, they are more aggressive with the passing game, particularly on early downs, as Alabama, say, compared to LSU. So they're not afraid to throw it and be aggressive with it. Defensively, though, getting back to them, they're very good up front. They're focused on, they're led by their linebackers. They're great linebackers, 260, 265 pounds. They're athletic. They can slip blocks. They can take on blocks extremely well. It's the best linebacking core I've seen on film in the country. It's the best looking pair of safeties in the country, not just in individual talent per se, but the way they play from an assignment and a technique standpoint. They've got 4 capable corners, 3 really good ones. They're big, they're physical, they mirror routes very well. This is a really complete defense. Watching them last year on tape, they were ranked number 1. Remember when they beat Florida and all that? I wasn't quite seeing it. You look, they were young, they were false stepping a little more. This team is pretty solid, and I think it's certainly the dominating effect has a lot to do, just like with LSU, with the SEC being down. But make no mistake, this trying to find holes in this Alabama team is pretty difficult. They're pretty solid.
When we come back, we'll talk about the quarterback and running back positions at Alabama. A.J. McCarron, Trent Richardson, Dutchtown product, just outside the Baton Rouge neighborhood, Eddie Lacey. We'll talk about all of that and more as we continue talking Alabama right here on Tigers Roar. Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans.
Hi, I'm Kimberlyn Duncan from the 2011 track and field team, and you are watching Pelican Sports TV.
It's time to score double points.
Papa's in the house.
Get double points every day to earn free pizza fast with Papa Rewards at papajohns.com.
The best way to kick off game day is with a better pizza, a Papa John's pizza.
Plus, get a large Works pizza or a Tuscan 6 cheese. Your choice, just $11 each. Get double points every day at papajohns.com.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
The official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Explore the charms of the North Shore and visit St. Tammany Parish. Whether you're looking for a cultural experience or an adventure, you'll find it here. Enjoy great attractions and fantastic dining in a relaxed and friendly atmosphere.
Come visit us and discover the history and heritage that is Louisiana's North Shore.
For more information, log on to louisiananorthshore.com/bb.
Hi, I'm attorney Kerry Bryson. My law firm focuses specifically on helping people try to solve their IRS tax problems. Lately, so many new out-of-state companies are popping up claiming that if you send them money, they can resolve your IRS problems. Well, what happens if they don't? Do you hire an attorney? Maybe you should start with a local attorney that's already handled hundreds of IRS cases right here in Louisiana. When you hire the Bryson Law Firm, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some out-of-town high-pressure salesman. You'll meet with us in person at our office right here in Baton Rouge. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and we'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it'll cost. So if you're hiring a company to resolve your IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, check their reputation first, then call me, Kerry Bryson, or go to brysonlawfirm.com. If you're a Louisiana resident and you have an IRS problem, hire a Louisiana attorney. Kerry Bryson.
The Alabama offense quarterback is A.J. McCarron, and he's done a respectable job. Here's some comments from Coach Les Miles and the players about Alabama quarterback A.J. McCarron. Then we'll get a look at his stats and an analysis by Chris Landry of the Crimson Tide quarterback A.J. McCarron.
He makes quality decisions. You know, he's very confident with his throws, and you know, he's protected pretty well. So that being said, you know, I think he's really doing the things that their coaches are asking him to do.
Just he manages the game very well. You know, he throws the ball well. You know, he knows where his players are. You know, he knows what situations he has. You know, doing in the field and stuff like that. So I mean, I feel like he's a great manager of the game.
Their offense is really balanced. You know, and he does a great job of distributing the ball around. You know, and not putting the offense, you know, in situations, you know, where he has to make a play. You know, it's always manageable. You know, and we're going to try, you know, to limit, you know, his opportunities to make plays as possible.
Their offense is actually more 50-50. They throw the ball and they run the ball, but it's a little bit more effective in the run. We just got to make sure whatever it is, we just get the ball tackled.
Chris Landry, NFL scout, Fox Sports football analyst, as we look at some of the stats for A.J. McCarron. Give us your evaluation.
Well, you know, it's a run-based offense, but let me just tell you, this young guy at the same stage is right about where Greg McElroy was, maybe slightly ahead. He is a good decision maker. In early part of the film this year, you know, he take a little too many chances downfield, but you see his ability to escape. He'll throw it up there in the red zone. He'll let a guy catch it. He protects the football well. He's got a few picks, but Tommy, only one interception in SEC play. Had the couple of picks early. He's learned and adjusted. You watch, he's the guy that Nick Saban dressed down last year in one of those games. He started to prepare him a year early for this position and getting him ready to play. He works the tight ends and backs out of the backfield, as I mentioned. He has gotten 9 touchdown passes to 9 different players. They have good balance on offense. They average 229 yards rushing a game, 228 yards passing. I mean, that's as balanced as you can get. They will go downfield. They certainly like to salt the game away with the running game, but they get people to overcommit against the run, and with their ability to work 2 tight ends, they've got 2 tight ends that are very effective in the passing game, Smelly and Williams, and they've got receivers that are a little underrated, that are not great players, and the backs in the screen game, particularly Richardson. That's a tough combination, and he's protecting the football fairly well. So he's the leader. They've got the one guy. They rely on him, and he does what they want. He does manage the game very well for them.
Chris, I remember legendary coach Bum Phillips once said about Earl Campbell. He said, "I don't know what class he's in as a running back, but it doesn't take long to call the roll."
That's it.
It does not take long to call the roll on the running back class that Trent Richardson is in. What a package of speed and size. Here's some comments by Coach Miles and the players on Alabama's bell cow guy, the guy they're going to go to, Trent Richardson.
Well, he's not only fast, but he's strong and experienced, and you know, he's lined up against great teams, and you know, he's in a position where, you know, he's ready to compete.
Fortunately, we haven't played, you know, any team that have, you know, challenged us vertically. You know, this is a downhill running team, and you know, the linebacker play has to be is critical to our success on defense this week. You know, me and Kevin and I, you know, Carnell, you know, some of the young guys have, you know, came in, you know, got some extra film study, you know, just knowing that, you know, what type of, you know, burden is on our shoulders.
He's one of those big power backs, and he'll try to drop his shoulder on you, and also he'll try to put a move on you, and he can run around you.
He presses the hole really fast, and then he makes his cut. So he gets to the line of scrimmage as fast as he can, and if he sees a gap, he's already there. So we just got to ask our D-line to knock their offensive line back and hopefully stop him.
He's just a bulldozer. You know, he just bangs on you so much. And, you know, that we talk about, you know, defensive backs, you know, and football players hitting you. But when it comes to them, the offensive players hit you too. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough game. I mean, we just got to corral him and, you know, tackle him as a unit, all 11 guys to the ball. Because, I mean, one-on-one, I think, he can take anybody, and, you know, in the nation. So we just got to corral him and all 11 people to the ball this game.
Chris Landry, your evaluation on Alabama running back Trent Richardson. You see his numbers on the screen, but he's been good for a long time.
I tell you what, and those numbers just begin to tell the story. You know, for example, against Tennessee, breaking down the tape there, 15 of his 17 runs were against 8 or 9-man fronts. He leads the nation in after-contact yardage, and 68% of his runs are against 8-man fronts. 14% are against 9-man fronts. So he's doing it when everybody is focused on stopping him. You go back over a 2-year period, it's the largest. I went back in my film grade notes. It's the largest amount of after-contact yard runs in a year and a half, a time span that I've seen in the past 15 years in college football. He's just a phenomenal physical back. You gotta rally to him and tackle him, gang tackle him, because you see here he can get through the hole, and we see you're going to watch it right here, the screen pass. This is where you get this guy in the open field. Well, you know, one-on-one, you know, he's going to run by you in some cases if you don't get a good angle on him, and then you eliminate the chances of gang tackle him at that point. He's got the ability to put his foot in the ground and give a little bit of a shift, and then he's off to the races. So, no, he's a special back. There's a reason why they run him a lot, because he is an elite special back. Lacey, Fowler, and Sims are all big physical backs that can do some of the same things. It's just that he's such an elite back to allow him to really carry their offense. He is, I don't know if he's going to be the best player on the field Saturday. That's what the game's going to determine. But going into the game, he's the best player on the football field, bar none, in terms of a college football player. He is a man among boys.
And, of course, when he takes a breather, product who played for Benny Saya at Dutchtown High School, just 10 miles away from Baton Rouge, Eddie Lacey, who has really come into his own as a running back. Not the numbers of Trent Richardson, but he's the kind of guy that if he had more touches, he'd have those numbers.
No question, because he's got the same power, skill sets, and you're right. He'd be a talked about guy. It's just that unlike in LSU where they see more reps for more guys, Trent's just obviously a special type player, and I think Eddie's going to get his chance. But you see his skill sets, and he's got the power, the ability to run away from you, run around you. He's a special player. As I said, Fowler and Sims are guys that, and Fowler's another 220 guy, and Sims is a 215-pound guy. So they've got their downhill running game is what they're built around. They've got a bevy of backs that can do it, but there's no question that their bell cow is Trent Richardson.
And when we come back, we'll talk about the Alabama defense. They're ranked. They're led by Nick Saban. A lot of talent, as Chris said. Linebacker, safeties could be the best group in the country. We'll come back, talk some Alabama defense. Stay with us. Spread the roar about Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV.
Total Occupational Medicine has been treating injured workers and providing drug tests and employment physicals in our community with a staff of certified professionals for over 20 years. Conveniently located at 3333 Drusilla Lane at I-12, Total Occupational Medicine can assess your needs and present a plan to get your injured workers back to work as soon as medically appropriate. Call Jim Bollinger or Dennis Taylor at 924-4460 to put the experienced team at Total Occupational Medicine to work for you today. That's 924-4460.
The family dental practice of Dr. Farrell Fruget Jr. and our highly trained staff are dedicated to providing care and treatment to our patients of all ages in all aspects of dental care. 23 years of experience and advanced training in cosmetic and restorative dentistry, TMJ, and treatment of snoring and sleep apnea allows Dr. Fruget to assist you in achieving the best in dental health. Call us today at 292-9700 to schedule your initial evaluation, because we know how to make you smile.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com has been extremely beneficial for the TM Automotive Group. And what stands out to us, it's easy to use, not only for us, but it's easy for the applicants. And it's the quality of applicants that we get. It's timely. We post something in the morning. By that afternoon, we have double-digit applicants. And again, it's the quality of the applicants.
Employers, now is a great time to hire, recruit, and look for potential new employees.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com. It's free for job seekers and great for business.
Pelican Sports TV presents Pelican Radio. Get ready to mix it up with me, Tommy Krysan, and Chris Landry, weekday afternoons from 3 to 4 p.m. Pro sports, college sports, high school sports, and much more. On the Score 1210 a.m. and on the internet at thescore1210.com.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
Both LSU and Alabama are known for their defense. Defense has been a large part of the reason why they're both 8-0 overall and 5-0 in conference play. Here's some comments from Coach Les Miles and the players about the Alabama defense.
I like the defenses in this game. I think both are quality, well coached, well prepared guys that can tackle. I think there's been some teams that have lined up, that have had quality defenses as well. I just think that both of these defenses might match the best that I've seen.
Big, they physical, and they're undefeated, and nobody haven't been scoring on them.
Watching film, the preparation from last week to this week is still huge. Watching film on them, seeing them what they're doing pre-snap, because they can totally change at the snap of the ball, and it's not exactly the same at pre-snap. So like you were saying, it's going to be very important that we still get some film work in here in these next couple of days, and really stay focused and understand kind of what they're going to do pre-snap, and it could totally change after the snap of the ball.
We've been watching tape on Trent Richardson, studying him and everything. I mean, he's a great back, probably one of the most physical backs we have faced this season. And you're not going to bring him down one tackle, so we just got to pursue the ball and just tackle in groups.
We've heard a lot about, the Alabama defense. But, and with all due respect, I think they've accomplished a lot. But I really feel like, we have a defense as well, and sometimes that gets overlooked, by the statistics, this and that. But I really feel like we have a great defense, and us getting that respect, is critical to this game.
A few things differently scheme-wise, and Coach Saban, I'm sure, will have them ready to go. But they're a little bigger and a little tougher, and it's going to be a great 8th game, 9th game of the season.
Those are guys that we've played, and it's just it's fun. I mean, as a competitor, you want to go against the best, and those are some of the best in the country. And it's to be given the opportunity, like I said, to play in a game like this where, it'll probably be talked about for a while to come. It's very special, very thankful.
Landry, talk about this Alabama defense. As it's been said, one of the best, certainly one of the best this year, and maybe one of the best of all time.
Well, I think it really starts, the linebackers are the star of the defense, but it really starts up front. I mean, if you look at the play of Josh Chapman, you're not going to hear his name a lot, or Gentry, who plays behind him. They are two-gapping defensive players. They control two gaps at the line of scrimmage. It allows their linebackers to step up and field versus the run. Alabama's linebackers are 260, 265. They're the size of LSU's defensive line. They're a differently built unit. They're a fundamentally sound, fundamentally technique-oriented defense. They're physical and they're quick on defense, very underrated. Their defensive ends leverage the run very well. The linebackers do a great job. The best rusher is Courtney Upshaw, who's the jackbacker, who's their hybrid guy, that they kind of reduce their front a little bit and have him come off the edge. So they're very good up front. Their safeties are really good. And I think one of the real keys we'll get into a little bit later is they can defend the run so well with their base without taking their split high safety looks out and keeping their safeties back in coverage. That's a real key and a real factor in this game if they can able to do that. And I think their chances are pretty good of doing it. They're just physical against the run. And then on the back end of their defense, their corners are big, they're physical, they can support against the run, they can reroute receivers inside when they play zone. Tommy, they mix up their coverages. Watching them on film, I see cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, quarters. I see press man, see press bail. I see some man zone combos, some zone blitz looks, and they disguise it and morph it in a lot of different things. So they are very well schooled. They're physical. They're athletic. They don't have a lot of holes in them. Early in games, you see them kind of false step a little bit. They get beat. They make adjustments on the in-game adjustments, not just halftime adjustments, between series adjustments. The thing that they do the best that I've seen, they teach their players so that when their players go on the field, they have great recognition skills as players to what they're seeing up front. And when you have that type of talent, and you have that as well coached as they are, that's why they're the best looking defense on the country in film.
Let's talk about a couple of guys in particular. Donta Hightower, the linebacker. I mean, guy's going to play for a long time on Sundays, as they say, but 22 tackles, 6 for a loss, an intersection, a pass broken up, but his presence on the field is unbelievable.
He was on his way to being a really good player a couple of years ago. He gets injured. And they have a guy that was just a young pup, that was a guy named Orlando McClain, that all Nick Saban did is groomed him, developed him into a high first-round pick. He's playing for the Raiders, having a great career. Now Donta's back healthy, and he's been dominant. He has been a dominant player for him. He feels well against the run. He's got the ability to escape and elude, I think, really one of the key matchups, folks. You want to watch LSU's fullbacks against on the lead play against these linebackers is going to be real pivotal in this game. But he's been an outstanding player. He's got some ability to cover. Boy, they're a physical, they're an athletic bunch. Again, they go 265. I mean, that's huge. I mean, LSU's linebackers, by comparison, are in the 220 range.
220, yeah.
220, you know, so it's a different looking unit. LSU's built on speed. Alabama's in toughness, physical approach, and but they're underrated. They're 260 that can run.
Another one, Mark Barron in the secondary.
Oh, boy, he is a very instinctive player, kind of leader of that secondary in the back end, grading them down on film. These two guys, Barron and Hightower, 1 and 2, have graded out the best. They've been really close. He's great instincts with the ball in the air, a very effective tackler. He's got size, runs very well for his size. So, no, they're very good. Their safeties may not be the two most gifted athletes in the country at safety, but they're the two best pair safeties I've seen, down in and down out from a grade standpoint, assignment standpoint, from a technique standpoint. They've been very good. And again, I think the key is if they're able to keep the split high safety look, it can really help them to defend the pass. And they're only going to be able to do that if that base front can defend the run. Now, they've been able to do that all year long. But as it relates to LSU and Alabama, what they've done all year long is great, but this is a different animal because neither team has seen an opponent like they're getting ready to see this week. So I think one of the keys is who can defend the opposition's running game with their base set.
Let's get off the football field for a minute. LSU, the folks in South Louisiana, Coach Miles, all dealt with the distractions of Hurricane Katrina, Rita, Gustav, all that good stuff that occurred, shouldn't say good stuff, all that stuff that occurred to South Louisiana and the region. You know, this past summer, Tuscaloosa had its own share of a horrific weather experience with the tornado that ripped through right near the campus, right near Bryant-Denny Stadium. Here's some comments about the Tuscaloosa community from Coach Miles and Coach Saban, and, you know, talking about just how many good people we really got in both Louisiana and Alabama.
Well, I think, first of all, you know, experienced a, horrifying tragedy for a lot of folks, with Katrina several years ago, and we had a similar experience this spring. And I think that, all these things make people really sort of be thankful for their gifts and really try to help others and have a presence for others who are affected by, these kinds of tragedies. And I think it created an opportunity for our team in a lot of ways to learn the importance of serving other people and being there to help and support other people. And I think that probably is something, that as a team we can create a positive with. And every time you have graduation or school starts or we have a football game, it's kind of a signal of things getting back to normal. So I think indirectly, our team probably has something to do with, trying to support the community spirits with how they play, but also serve the community in some of the things that they did, to help other people.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that there's an attachment to the community where that team gives that community a distraction, a pleasant turn, if you will, from the rebuild and the heartache that could be a current situation based on a storm. Certainly the terrible twister that hit Alabama, the Katrina that hit Louisiana. I didn't understand it until I went through it and realized, how many people went out of their way to say, "Great year, Coach," and boy, we really needed that. And when we ended up back in New Orleans that year, for us to be the first team to play back in New Orleans in that game, to represent the state of Louisiana and certainly be represented in our home state and obviously the major town within that state, it was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Great memories. I'm certain that this Alabama team's enjoying representing their state in college football in a very similar fashion.
Chris Landry, I want you to again tell everybody what they're going to get on this week's edition of the Chris Landry Show. It's heard Thursday, each and every Thursday at 2 p.m. from 2 to 3 p.m. in Baton Rouge on the Score 1210 a.m. on your radio dial, online at thescore1210.com. What you got on the Chris Landry Show this week? I think I know the topic.
We're going to do something different. We're going to just focus on this game. I know there's some other good games in college football. Saints play the Bucs. It's an important game, but this is a unique game. We talked about it all night. I'm going to focus on a lot of different angles, and I'm going to kind of start with kind of where these programs are, how they got there, Nick Saban's influence and how he got to come to LSU, and the great job that Les Miles has done. And so I want to really get into that and maybe kind of bring some things to light behind the scenes that took place that most people maybe don't know. So we're going to try to get into that and then obviously break down the game in depth.
And, of course, if you can't catch that show from 2 to 3 p.m., it is available via podcast. Won't be loaded up till later Thursday night, but you can go to score1210.com, go to On Demand, go to Pelican Sports Radio, and probably late on Thursday, anytime Friday or Saturday, you want to hear the segments of the Chris Landry Show, totally breaking down LSU and Alabama in even more detail than we're doing tonight. You can do that via podcast at thescore1210.com. When we come back, we're going to talk to Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com. We will also get into this LSU football team and the things they're going to have to do to have success Saturday night in Tuscaloosa against Alabama. Chris Landry, NFL scout and Fox Sports football analyst. I'm Tommy Krysan of Pelican Sports TV, and you're watching Tigers Roar right here, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans on Pelican Sports TV and PelicanSportsTV.com.